Hello, hello, welcome in souls, welcome in everybody. All right, this reading, we're definitely into 2025, right? There's been a lot going on already. This reading is going to be touching on the mentality of the collective, really. I feel there's been huge shifts in the earth, and I don't mean just because of natural disasters or anything like that, but it feels like the earth has almost got to change. It's like, you know how there's depending on what you believe in, but there's stories of step-ins where someone's kind of like it's like a soul change or like a higher self shift or something like that. It kind of almost feels like that is taking place, and I don't know how long that takes or whatever, but it feels like it's taking place in the earth. So it's like the earth is getting a facelift or some kind of like shift. I don't know what that means or how that works or even why I'm mentioning that in this message, because this one's going to be about the mentality. But it shows when we go through transformations, changes, when you go through a divorce, a breakup, or even leaving home and heading to university or going to a new school or changing jobs. These are all death and rebirth. So it feels like that kind of energy on that's happening to the earth. It's not so much happening to everybody, but I guess if it affects the planet that we're walking around on, then maybe it's also affecting us in some way. So I wanted to provide messages that are going to be supportive. This won't be a you pick a pile. This is going to be a collective message. There's going to be 2 readings. I don't know exactly what they're going to be on. I just knew it was about the collective mentality. Whatever comes through, this is going to be helping you not get into doom scrolling or into the doom and gloom of things, because that's one, not going to help. It's also going to shift the collective focus if we're all focusing on the negative stuff. We need to see everything, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, not just the ugly. Okay, but I'm going to grab 2 cards and we'll get into the messages. Hopefully you're all safe, no matter where you are. It's quite reasonable here weather-wise in Brisbane. It's usually pretty hot around this time of the year, even though today especially is very humid. So, but there's nothing wild going on. We did have a few floods, but nothing major. Just a few days of heavy rainstorms. Okay, so can I get a card, please? Right, another card for the next reading. Okay. So the first card is going to be Ascended Master, Mother Mary, and Celestite with unconditional trust. Perfect. That is definitely going to be our message in regards to how to uplift, how to remain poised, dedicated in the heart center. That's where this one's going to come in. Interestingly enough as well, I'm listening to handpan music. If I can, I'll try to find some music to flow with the readings, and I'll upload this video with that in the background. I'll try to make sure it's not overly loud. I'll figure something out. Not so much a mixer or a DJ or anything like that who's able to do these kind of things. But, I'll give it a go. But yeah, we've got Mother Mary here, and I feel like that is the kind of, I guess, especially if you are religious or Christian, then you could see Mother Mary as kind of like a very high, feminine, positive entity, right? Heart-centered, unconditional love, trust, especially here. Trust, Celestite, coming from the angelic realm. And angels have been coming through recently for me as well. But I feel like I say that a lot. All right, so let's have a look at pile 2. Oh, I love this. So you've got Ascended Master Kuan Yin, again, a very kind of different, right? With Mother Mary, but another high, feminine, strong energy. There's an air of like strength and power, and also there's the air of nurturance and love, like very similar to Mother Mary's kind of like unconditional love type energy. It's also got the pearl, and pearls are kind of interesting, right? Very delicate and made through almost like an irritation. So we go through pain, and sometimes that creates beauty. We don't go through it because we don't make them, but like, an oyster or other kind of bivalve animal. And it's got Divine Rebel. I don't really need to pause the video to see what this is going to be about. This is going to be about reclaiming power, essentially, and also looking at things, and instead of going into doom and gloom, going into action or into activation mode, going through the pain to be able to produce or find something beneficial. Like if you go through a breakup, but you become stronger from the challenges you had within that, you learn and grow. We don't learn and grow from sitting back and cruising. Okay, so, excuse my cough. These are the two cards. I'm going to put the links in the description so you can jump straight to your videos if you choose to, but these are the two readings we're going to do. So yeah, if you want to watch both, feel free. Otherwise, I'll see you in whatever reading calls to you. Hello, welcome to your reading. Alright, so got Ascended Master Mother Mary, beautiful energy, Celestite. I have a piece of Celestite somewhere in my room. There it is, looking at me. And we've got Unconditional Love. Remember, this reading is for the collective, so take what resonates, leave what doesn't, because you're part of the collective, you're not the whole collective, right? So take what resonates. But yeah, this one is going to be a really nice reading of tapping into your, or not really tapping in, but being aware of where your energy is and what's happening with it and where you're getting pulled into. Because I really want this to be an uplifting message, no matter what you're going through, or challenges, or no challenges, right? But seeing certain things happen in the world that is pulling your energy into certain areas. Be aware of what's happening there. It's always good to have an overview of certain things, but we can get really caught up and start doom scrolling. And I feel like the reason why this message wanted to come through was just to help people ground, stabilize, and remember that you're not alone, and there are ancestors, guides, there's guardian angels, right? Ascended masters that are all here supporting this process and our individual as well as our collective and even worldly growth. The song that I'm listening to as well is handpan music, and it's by Multi Martin, and he is playing at 999 hertz, and it is Kundalini meditation. That's the name of this particular session that he's playing. So I feel like that kind of really tied into it. Just popped up. Like, usually things just pop up. I don't really like go hunting for anything. It's just the first thing that popped up when you go to home and Google, sorry, not Google, and YouTube. And so he is, yeah, it was just perfect for this, because it was like, oh yeah, it feels like there's an earthly transformation, which is going to shift all of us. I feel like this is for the betterment of the planet as well. But that doesn't mean it's going to be like smooth sailing, right? It's like with any change, there's lessons learning and new experiences as well. All right, so I won't blah on about that too much, but yeah, really nice getting Mother Mary. I feel like this is it's nice. It's like a nice safe zone for everyone while all sorts of different things are happening in the world, right? We want to find a good balance with all of it. Okay, so let's see what message is going to come through with all that being said. This is a really interesting deck. I don't really use it too much. It's based off a poem by Khalil Gibran, who I guess was a poet, author, painter. Like, he did a lot of different things. his dream or ideas was that all religions should kind of conjoin as one. And to me, it was just more like an idea with like where I am now compared to where he was back then. It's just an idea of being open to all kinds of beliefs and faith, right? Instead of the structure, that structure, and everyone kind of sits in some kind of a lane. It's like being very free and open in some sense. So don't know if that's necessarily turned out the way he wanted, but I feel like the spirit of that flows through these cards and feels right in this reading as well. Okay. I'll go this way. I'm gonna grab quite a few of these. Why can't I grab that? I won't take it then. That was interesting. It was just sticking out, but I couldn't take it. I'll leave it. Take these two. Yeah, they can fit. Alright, and then I'll grab some tarot cards here. We've got the Modern Love Tarot, which is really nice. Okay, so your first card, you have Come and Be One of Us, the Farewell. Like I said, we're going through a transition, and when you're in spiritual circles or anything like that, you'll get a lot of like people being like, yeah, I love the Death card, Tower card, or, you know, depending on what it is, right? But I like the transformation. You can love it, especially when you're not in it, but once you get in it, it can be kind of challenging and tough, right? And how we process things is always individual, but we're definitely going through a shift, right? This almost looks like, the funny thing is he was around like 100 years ago. I can't even remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was like over 100 years ago. And he's doing pictures like this, which feels like an ascension, right? It kind of feels like these people aren't getting selected, like, you know how there's the story of the purge where the good get taken and everyone else gets left into like chaos or whatever. This kind of feels like we lift ourselves up. We decide what energies we focus in on and what energies we leave. The unconditional trust is belief and trust and faith in your deity, your god, your goddess, your guides, your spirit, your ancestors, you know, even your community, your work, you know, it's yourself especially. This is all of that. But we're going through a shift, and I feel like that's probably why I started talking about the earth going through like a not just an upgrade, but it almost feels like a higher self change. You know how we talk about higher selves? It's almost like the higher self of the earth has shifted. And so we're all going along for this ride. So what do? With something that's happening? You learn about it, you process it, you decide what path you want to take, because you know, you're not forced to go into any direction, or any this, any that. Like these people are like making a pilgrimage, it feels, to go into the next kind of aspect. And it's not about escapism. It's like, I'm done with this world, I just want to go here. That's not really how it works. You know, what are you holding on to? Why are you done with this world? What is this all about? What do you need to release, let go of? What do you need to focus in on and nurture and grow? Whereas, do you make decisions off fear? Do you make decisions off this, that, or the other? Regardless of what that is, are you moving in a direction that is for your highest good? Do you see that? Can you see blessed future is coming to mind? I was trying to reword it, but it was like literally a blessed future. That's really where this is coming from. The mentality or the mental is, can you see a path forward? Or are you focusing in on everything that's not working, or even the past stuff that's kind of dirtying the present, your present eyesight or mindset? It's just about being aware. It's not saying you should be this or should do that. It's really about being aware. This is all about awareness. Okay. I love Dwal Cool. You've got Dwal Cool with Divine Mission. It says enlightened actions, making choices from the heart. I said that before when Mary came through. And I like that there's kind of like this, peaceful masculine energy coming through too. It's not about just one or the other. It's not about like raising the feminine and shunning the masculine or vice versa. It's really about uplifting both in a way that is cohesive. What was the other word? Cohesive and I was going to say something else, but it's like in a balanced way. The masculine from yin and yang, like the kind of like push and pull, right? Not highlighting one part within ourselves and shunning the other. It's about uplifting both within ourselves, within our community, within our family, within our life. Oh, interesting. This feels, this is ET, but it's always an interesting card. You've got the blue beings with light transmission. It says here, wounds healed, important information and charging up. This does feel like this is a time for some kind of reflection or some kind of like, what energy am I taking in? What is my signature signal, dialed into, like a radio? Am I listening to a radio station and am I like getting the information of a radio station that is not for my highest good, or music that it's not, so that I don't resonate with? Doesn't mean it's bad, right? It could be like, I don't know, country music and you might be, I don't know, rhythm and blues, right? Or vice versa. It doesn't really matter, but like, are you listening and focusing in on something that really doesn't vibe with you? Because you'll start to attract that constantly and start to resonate that in probably a way that it doesn't serve. So it's interesting. There's something here with like extraterrestrials energy coming through. Some of you may be star seeds, right? And so it's like, again, going back to your main mission, it says enlightened action, doing things from the heart. And this is talking about missions in a way. Where was it? Where did I see mission? It's not even here. Anyway, in my mind, I guess I saw mission. Like it's like, remember why you came here and what you're meant to do. It's a challenging world. But you came here to accomplish certain things. Maybe it doesn't have to be like create a big TV station that pumps out positive vibes, right? And that's your job. It's not necessarily even within your working environment. It could be breaking through toxic cycles within family dynamics and not passing that on, or holding on to it so it festers into something physically or mentally damaging, right? Anxiety, or like even like pains in the stomach, or like ulcers, or even cancers, right? That kind of stuff. It's about releasing it. But I think there's more here, and I think whatever star seed you kind of connect with, you might want to do a meditation and connect with them and just chat about something. I don't know, get a message individually, because you are like, these readings and all the readings that are out there are really here to supplement or support you, kind of like a, how they sell supplements, right? They're not to replace full meals. You're the full meal. You're the one who creates like the meal. These are just supplements. So this is remembering your own status and power here, but that'll be the next reading. So I don't want to get too into it. Okay. This way. Interesting. You can see the thread here. Through the challenge, there's like rainbows and lights coming through. Don't know too much about the thread in this deck, but what I can see is just literally an arm, like a rope, and it's almost like they're either pulling themselves out or they're starting to pull away the drama, the kind of BS that's out there, right? We see that in the news a lot. There's a lot of BS. There's one station, actually, I didn't really look at the news a lot, but I got pulled to look at one particular news station in Australia, and I was like, oh, why? But they do have like this one section which is like the feel-good section, and it's like positive things that are happening in the world, because that everything else that's there is like the difficult stuff, the challenging stuff, the bad stuff that's kind of happening, or the hard stuff. And while that's good and true, as in that's happening, there is also other stuff happening, right? There's like certain medical type things that are getting, I don't know, whatever, like apparatuses. Okay, I'll think of one that's actually like one that I've seen. One was this metal or some kind of liquid metal type stuff that attaches to microplastics, and then they could pull them out of the water with a big magnet type thing. I don't know how they would work on a scale, right? But it's like non-toxic. It's kind of like fat, I guess, or like cooking oil, and kind of, you know how that kind of like globs together. It's kind of like that, but it goes around like the microplastics. There's things like that. There's so much other stuff out there. That's why it's good to get like a mix of news, not just the doom and gloom stuff, which is super prevalent. But yeah, once you pull some of the other stuff aside, you can see more of a balance. So this is about getting into balance, and also by doing that, it's not just sitting and meditating, it's also what you consume, what you view, what you focus in on, where your mind's at. Being very aware of your grace, the way you flow through this world. Okay. So funny talking about like the purge, right? Something like that. Not that I believe that there's going to be ever like a purge where someone comes down and is like, yeah, you guys are all good because you believed what, I don't know, what this book says, so you can all come and the rest can just stay. But we've got Apocalypse, which is the challenge, going through the death and rebirth. The apocalypse in this kind of energy kind of looks like a self-reflecting thing. It's not so much being judged externally, it's being like, what are we holding on to that we criticize ourselves for, that we blame other people for? Really, really, really seeing that. What do you blame other people for? That's an attribute for you. You know, when we think about it for other people, it's like that person's blaming their parents for the way they are, and they are acting almost the opposite or just the same as what their parents kind of would, but they don't even realize it, right? So when we see that within ourselves, it's harder sometimes to pick up on that because we, I don't know, depending on our mindset, we may just want to be in blame for now. But blame of ourselves, others, is really not going to be a place where we can grow and move forward from. It's not about finding actual blame at all. It's really about, what am I feeling? What am I doing about this? And where do I need to like shift some of this and to create a better present future for myself and the people around me? Like, how is it impacting? And I feel like that's where the apocalypse comes through, right? It's kind of like this self-reflection. You can kind of see here, it's like all parts of me being like spilled out into the open, all the toxic stuff from the collective as well, being brought out into the open. That's how we heal and grow, by seeing it all, not by hiding it into a corner of the world or blaming like this group or that group, even though it can be kind of like enticing, right, to blame like billionaires for this kind of thing or blame this for that. It's really like we've agreed and created this society and this monetary culture or just whatever, right? That's kind of how we live. So what are we going to do within ourselves to help shift and change that? Instead of putting our power over here, how are we going to draw that back and help not just ourselves, but the people around us as well, in whatever way we can? And unfortunately, usually tragedies are the ones that help with that. Like now with the fires, right? There's a lot of people going into like GoFundMe to help people there, or even providing food for a lot of the animals that have been displaced, and pets and stuff like that. So it's like the silver lining in such a difficult situation for especially the people involved who've lost like houses and that kind of thing. Yeah, there's a lot of healing energy coming through as well. The queen, just the snake here, the snake kind of wrapped around her hand or his hand or whatever, and the lotus, it looks like, with this, I don't know, I thought it was an eyeball, but it looks like, I don't know. Do you know what it reminds me of? This is going to be really out of pocket for some people, but if you've ever played Battle of Olympus, there's these snakes that you had to like kill to get this like particular item, and it looks like that, and it's just funny because it's right next to the snake. Anyway, random, like it's kind of like you have to go through a lot of healing process, which is kind of a lot of death and rebirth, right? A lot of you kind of have to kill the snake to get this particular item, to collect all of them so you can either buy or transform it into something that's going to help you move forward. So it really does feel like that. And the Queen is sovereignty, is regaining your power, being able to trust self to conceptualize a future or a present where there's movement in a positive direction that you see or feel. So it's getting your power back. There's a lot of power back after this doom and gloom kind of like energy, but it's a good place to reflect on. Do we see society as moving in a direction that's actually what we want to continue shifting into, right? Just even saying, I feel, this is just maybe me, but I feel if you see something and you're like, hang on, why do we just agree to this? Why do we just believe that this is the correct thing to do? Why do we believe even like a food, right? It's how it's created. It's like, why is that just the normal? There's like this kind of animal product in a thing that you wouldn't even associate with the animal product, right? And it's just like, how did we just like agree to that being normal, right? Even just thinking and feeling that and like processing it within, even if you come to like a rational explanation or not, it's just a good way of questioning your reality, questioning your internal beliefs and processes. If we could be more mindful of that within ourselves, I feel like as a collective we'll start to move forward in a different way. I feel like we are already going through a really positive process. It's just there's a lot of other stuff that's clouding those visuals. All right, empty room, clearing things out. Like I said with the apocalypse, it's like spilling things all out, and then the empty room is a space where we can sit and be, either from clearing all that stuff out, or maybe transforming it, or working with it, clearing it, whatever. Or it's just to get us out of this idea of too much and into a space of safety, whether this is meditation, whether this is a safe place within your house where you can be alone, or just like your family room, right, where you just sit and talk about nice things, good things, that kind of stuff. But I feel since this is a big collective reading, the bullshit's starting to like be cleared. And then when I say bullshit being cleared, I mean like the drama and all that's kind of been, that's the veil. That's kind of like, how they talk about the veil, it's like to the other side or whatever like that. The veil is like the propaganda, you could even say, like the look over here type stuff, instead of looking at everything else. And it's like, this will pull everyone's attention while we can do shady shit in the background. But it's going to be shown, and then you're going to be like, this almost feels like Queen of Swords, right? Making challenging, tough decisions that need to be made to cut things out and to build anew. So yeah, these cards are really interesting. These cards really wanted to come through before I had even picked anything. So I made sure I got a few of them before I even knew what the readings were going to be about. It just popped up in my head. All right, let's grab some tarot. I don't think we need too much more really needs to be said about this. But I'm interested to see what the tarot brings to us. Beautiful cards coming through, I'll be honest. They're challenging ones, right? We've got the Five of Wands, the Five of Cups, and the fives are transitions and not transformation, but just like they're the middle point of the ace to the 10, the 1 to the 10. It's like the middle point. And we've got two here, the Five of Wands, which sometimes usually is deemed as like fighting, friction, and challenge. And here the story is this woman, Kim Kardashian looks like, and I don't know, looks like some kind of like person who will end up in prison by the look of his face. But anyway, these two shouldn't judge, right? Don't judge. I'm not judging. Anyway, so it looks like they are arguing about how the suitcases get put into the back of the car, right? Because it looks like he's got a very strong opinion, and it looks like she ain't moving. So it's like she ain't budging on her like decisions. But it's kind of like, those kind of like silly little things that we argue about get put into perspective sometimes. But also they show us exactly what's going on. They show us what is what energies are in our reality, especially if you're being belittled or like whatever. And it looks like maybe he's gotten away with it in the past and she's not moving, but I don't feel like she has ever really let that happen or fly anyway. So it's an interesting energy. And then we've got this transition here, or the middle point, with the Five of Cups, which is grief, right? The death. It's like a very clear death here. And seeing the light coming through the trees. So it's like this belief in the next, that there is something beyond this. It kind of feels like, I know I have kind of skipped these two, but I just wanted to talk to the two fives because they're like midway points when we go from what we've been through to the acceptance of what was and to the next kind of like phases in the future. Okay, so Seven of Cups and the Knight of Swords. This one's a kind of a cute one, like she's getting a lot of offers from all these other women, right? Whether it's like love, house, marriage, a puppy, a jester, you know, all these kind of things. It's a decision card, basically. It's like, what do I actually want to see in my life? Where is my energy? You know, questioning all that. And I guess as a collective, we're doing the same thing. There's this like friction side of like, I don't know, in politics it might be left and right, or in gender it might be male, female. It's like, do we want to continue with this kind of energy of improvements by fighting? You can see it in politics a lot too. I'm trying not to stick too much to politics, but it just keeps popping up in my head of, you know, how sometimes you'll watch some politicians in whatever country, it could be anything, and they'll just start yelling at each other like toddlers, and then like, how is this? How do you know what I mean? This is where the questioning comes in, this questioning of like, how do we just agree to this being our reality? How do we just agree that there are billionaires in the world and possibly trillionaires, right? Who knows where a lot of funds and wealth is, but like, how do we just agree that that's okay? Or a particular leader in a country just can do whatever they want and commit like atrocities, crimes, and it's just okay, you know, like maybe you agree or don't agree, but just like, why are we just agreeing to that this is normal? Like, what's happened to us as a species, I guess, is kind of something to question. Not about judging it, it's just about observing. If you get into criticism or judgment and blame, then maybe step back out and just take a breath and, you know, chill, but like, be realistic with it as well. Don't get into blame, because we're all part of this collective. We're all responsible for ourselves, and, you know, at some level, I wouldn't say it's your responsibility for like, you know, how the earth spins or the certain companies and stuff like that, but we all agree to the mindset of like what we've agreed to in this moment. We can see that in the past. From now, right, there's certain things in the past where, let's say, voting, where women couldn't vote. That would be kind of crazy now in, I would say, most countries, especially in the Western kind of world. That's a thing. But back then, it was just like what it was agreed to, right? It was just like, you know, 1700s. That was just like, or, you know, maybe mid 1700s or whenever. I think it started shifting around late 1800s. But anyway, you know, it's like this, what are we looking at now that in the future probably would be seen as like atrocious or not great? You can see it in language as well, certain words being used, reclaimed, broken, triggered, purposefully triggered words, right? Whatever. Language kind of is like a good indicator, but also political systems, belief systems, all that kind of stuff that gets shifted and moved in some way. I'm sure that people that are like very orthodox in a particular religion 1,000 years ago, they might see them as kind of like the people that believe in the same thing as like completely off track. And same with these ones, right? Might see the future of the religion is very off track. And like, maybe let's go with 2 popes, right? Who knows? You know, whatever. It's not so much about judging and criticizing it. It's just about reflecting and seeing things that we agree to that we may not actually feel in our heart as true. All right. Knight of Swords. I haven't really talked too much about the Knight of Swords, but with the Queen being right here, I was feeling like this was the Queen of Swords, and so the Knight of Swords and this woman, you know, here, it's about, and there's like an empowering energy coming through, and I feel like that's shifting to the next reading, so I feel like we're kind of wrapping this up, which is good because these are the last cards. But the Knight of Swords is one that, in its positive light, has ideas, new information, and wants to kind of like trailblaze it, right? Share it, get that information out there, go forward with their beliefs and their ideas with purpose and focus. And this Queen energy is coming from a place of like stability and support and for the highest good type energy. So it's like that empowering energy, not to force feed people what they should believe, but to empower people and inform them with like, why do we believe in these things? Why do we hold this as truth without question? I don't think there's anything in the world where you shouldn't be allowed to question. You should be allowed to question everything. And we can see that when people push back with like certain reporters or something reporting on ancient stuff, right? And they're just looking at things and looking at it, and then that'll really upset some of the scientists. And I'm like, if you're a scientist, you should be like a believer in transformation, change, and things, and just openness to what's possible, right? Even if we come back to the same point, exploring different ideas and stuff is like the whole point in my mind of like science. So we need to get out of this like fixed mentality. And I feel like with this coming through, with this shift, a lot of people are just shifting forward, while the people that want to hold on to the past can stay there. So, you know, you choose whether you become part of the ones that stay in the world that is, you know, exactly how it's kind of running now, or you can be a part of the shift and change instead of just you know, or someone that just floats there. It depends on your path and what you're doing. It's your choice, really. It's really your choice. Okay, so I don't know if this really touched on the mentality, but I feel like this helps break things down and remember that not all the stuff that we're getting force fed is one, true, and is also going to be of service to us, even if it is true, because it may not be in our immediate reality, and it may not be our responsibility or desire to like really dig into those certain topics unless you're called to. Ultimately, unconditional trust is faith and trust in yourself, faith and trust in fellow humans, and belief that no matter what happens, even if it's deemed as positive or negative, that we're heading into a direction that's for, you know, our highest good. Okay, so that was quite a long one, but I'm going to leave that there for today. Next reading is going to be with Kuan Yin, which is kind of cool. I really like that energy, or her energy, and we'll go into a message around empowerment. Okay, so thank you if you're leaving. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Hello, welcome to the last reading here. So this one's going to be about empowerment. It's not necessarily an empowerment card, but that's how I feel this collective mentality needs to be taken. In some ways, I feel like it's really highlighting the darker side of the rebel, right? Going out and taking things into your own hands, which like leads to death, murders, theft, abuse, right? That kind of stuff. And in the positive side, it's shaking up old, tired systems, even stuff that we believe within ourselves or even in the collective. So it's a tricky one, let's just say. I'm just going to move the mic a little bit. The Kundalini meditation is still going as well on the handpan music that I'm listening to. But Ascended Master Kuan Yin and the Pearl, Divine Rebel. The Pearl is kind of an interesting, it's not really a crystal, right? It's kind of like a formation within an animal body, or bivalve body if you don't want to see it as animal, but I'm pretty sure they're still classed as animals. Anyway, the pearl is like, it's caused by an irritation and kind of like a shift or a need to like push a certain part or like energy or whatever debris into a particular area so that it's not going to infect the entire organism, and through that pain and struggle you get like what humans anyway would perceive as like a beautiful beautiful piece of jewelry, I guess, or something that you can turn into like art jewelry or what have you. So it's like a nice metaphor for sometimes you need to go through the struggle to get the goals, right? And I don't feel like there's any time where we sit back and just chill without doing any effort to get goals. Certain things we might be like pushing and need to wait and have patience, and that's absolutely fine and true and makes sense to me anyway, in my mindset. So yeah, I don't think I have anything else really to continue with. I'm just going to leave that there. Grab one of these ones first. Yeah, this is going to be touching in on empowerment and where we put our energy and what we would like to achieve. The last reading was kind of like leading towards looking at our environment and seeing what's there that we don't actually agree with and want shifted, and how do we do that in a way that's rebellious, right? But also that's not in a taking people's lives or like pushing things to a point of forcing our beliefs on other people, right? It's not about force, it's just about inspiring other people to look at something that they haven't even questioned or looked at. And even if they don't change anything or get upset or angry about it, just let it sit with them, right? Introduce some information out there, let it sit, and that's it. You don't always have to like go on a campaign unless you feel called to. But if you're not drawn to, you don't have to be the one that does it. Just put the information out into the collective and let it sit. Okay, well, we've got two, so I'm going to put them here then. Might actually put them together and put these here, because I don't think I need as many as I did in the last reading. I'm just going to put on another song. This one's Blossom. Another handpan one, 777 hertz. Okay. That was quick. Cards are coming out fast. This one looks like it's going to be more of a oracle reading, which is fine. Lucky these ones are small, so I can squeeze about 4 out of them. Okay, let's take a look at the cards that have come through. I'll just move these down so it's not so cut off. Alright, we have the gem in the cave. So interesting with the gem in the cave, right? The gem here looking like it's in a nest, and here you've got these like kind of like ominous almost eyes, but you see a light here, and then there's this almost like beckoning or calling to, you know, the divine rebel is, I mean, you could see that as also like Jesus in a way, right? The story of it, whether whatever the actual truth was or whatever, but the story and the metaphor behind his story was, you know, inspiring people, not just going around showing, look what I can do, look at this, look at me, look at me, look at me. It didn't really feel like that was his energy. It was more like, hey, if I can do these things, you can do them and more, right? You can do as much as or more than what I can do. It's like reminding them that they have the power within them. And here, with this one, sorry, itching my eye. It's like you have to kind of traverse the unknown or go into the depths of the cave, which could be the depths of within you, to really find the nuggets of you. So look, I would see this as like going within yourself to reignite a certain aspect of your inner child, for example. Reclaiming your power from where you've given it away because, you know, maybe it was taken in a sense. But now it's time to go within yourself, see the beauty of you, and really go claim it. This isn't about just talking about it, this is about doing. Rebels don't just sit there with their finger and their thumb, right? They go get it. No matter what though, this is about peace. This is a peaceful way. Kuan Yin isn't about like going around murdering people, right? She's nurturing the truth and the like love energy within yourself and surrounding what surrounds you, what you interact with. So first of all, going within. That's basically these cards. Yeah, okay. Same. Like, you got the cave, you got the bear, what else do you want to know? Pretty card though, right? I love these cards. I don't know who created this. Colette Baron Reed. Okay, well, whoever did the artwork, it's just really, really beautiful. Anyway, brown bear spirit. I'm assuming these are in North America. I don't know where bears are really left in the world besides North America, right? Like big ones. And take a time out. This is definitely about going within. This rebel spirit isn't about just going around and like spouting a whole lot of drama or rubbish, right? It's really about knowing exactly the truth of the matter and what you feel and letting that through. This is about an internal transformation. Kuan Yin also feels like a balance between masculine and feminine energy as well, not seeing feminine or masculine specifically like as higher or lower or vice versa, right? It's really about appreciating all aspects that make you you at a like very basic point. Oh, that's pretty. You've also got the dolphin spirit. This and that are true. I like that energy. Dolphins always have like a playful energy as well. I know online there's a lot of people going, they're bad, they do this, they do that, they're like, you know, they like there's ones with pufferfish. There's also forcing themselves on other species, like not species but also other things, like they grab the pufferfish and pass it around because they get like a high from it, you know, whatever. And then we're like supposed to be all like dolphins are bad now, right? When really humans do all those things. They do like the horrible stuff. They do probably more. They have like more bloodier, deadlier wars, right? And also hurt a lot more other species on the planet. Do we go around and now like they're all bad? I don't know. It just seems like people are focusing on the wrong thing. Anyway, that was probably just a little rant. The dolphin spirit is this and that true. I love the lotus here. It's like there is this like blooming energy of things starting to come to term or reality or into the collective mind. But yeah, basically this and that are true is just like, okay, so if this is true, let's just say there's like this indomitable kind of like non-able to argue truth. Where does that come from and how does it change certain other aspects? If this is true, it's like, you know, if whatever is true here, then it has to be, if it links to this, then some part of this must be true too. So we need to dig further into it. So this could be within yourself as well, basically. Could be in the world, could be within yourself. We've got sadness here as well. How to heal some of this is like it almost feels like it's to accept what our reality is at this moment. And I don't mean accept it as in that's always going to be our reality. It's just like accept the truth, accept the feelings, accept the fact of this, that, and the other is actually true right now. Now, what can I do about this? Is there anything I can do? Can't change like the world in a day, right? But what can I do in my environment, within myself, within my house, within my work environment, you know, whatever it is, within my family unit, right? What little shifts and changes can I make to help improve the collective in some way? It's just that kind of energy. I don't know why it's coming through with sadness. Sadness feels like grief or going through like emotions, right? And that kind of thing, realization. But that's kind of the energy that I'm getting from here, which is why you take the time, because you can really feel through your emotions. Emotions aren't negative things. I feel like it's so archaic when we talk about like, you know, men or women or whoever having emotions, or you're being emotional, right? Or that kind of thing. It's like, yeah, they're going through something. It doesn't mean that we need to do anything or they need to do anything specifically. It's just like recognizing and feeling whatever you're feeling. Like, let it flow through you. And then we've got courage here. Well, I mean, if you want to be a rebel, you got to be courageous. If you want to see the shifts and changes, right? Nothing in the past has really shifted and changed from always peaceful ways, but we've seen that in Gandhi's kind of like history, right? With that story, and no matter what nitpicky things he may have done or said or whatever, I don't really know, but the ultimate story of him was making a change through peaceful means. It wasn't through war or through hate or anything like that, not from his perspective anyway, and I don't believe he radiated that out, no matter what people take and start to do with that energy. It's just like, you know, what do you want to resonate with, and what do you want to look back on and be proud of what you did, basically. Not what you leave behind exactly, but what choices you made, what decisions you made for yourself, whether they work out or not. It's like, did I push myself here? No one really sits back in their deathbed and regret the stuff that they actually did. Does that make sense? Like, maybe some stuff, right? But like the times where they push themselves to try something new, even if it didn't work out, you still learn something more so than just sitting there and being like, I'm just going to leave it. Things are cruisy at the moment. And they just cruise on their little boat floating down the river to the end of their life, right? It's just like, I don't know, maybe some people do, but I feel like if they really like reflect on it, I feel like those are the times where they learned and grew. Okay. So we also have Baba Yaga coming through. So much Baba energy coming through. There's different Babas out there, but anyway, Baba Yaga and Svarog with Distort, Misunderstood, and Ancestors. This could be also time for a lot of people to come to the realization that we are all kind of in a play, in a sense. We're all playing part in a play. And so when is it Anthony Hopkins? I can't remember, whatever his name is, the guy that plays Hannibal Lecter. When we see him in the street, we're not going to scream and run away, right? Because we know that he was just playing a part. Maybe people scream and want to get an autograph, I don't know, but whatever. You know, that's what the distort is kind of coming through. This breaking of distortion almost feels like the challenges you've had with a parent, for example, recognizing that they were playing a part, you were playing a part. You probably had past lifetimes where it's like, oh, okay, I'll be the abusive one, you be this one, I'll be that one, I'll be that one. People hate that. But I think we're getting to a point now where we need to start like recognizing that this is all not just make-believe and like part of like a play exactly. It's all still real. We still need to call out stuff that doesn't resonate. But instead of getting into like this like they're the worst person, blame kind of thing, it's kind of like blowing that out of the water and getting out of the drama within our heads and our minds and in the reality even that we're living in. Okay. So there could be some stuff here with ancestral healing as well, if you want to call it like that. But I feel like I needed to speak truth into that we're kind of playing parts and certain roles for some people and for certain groups and maybe for ourselves and whatever. Like certain things play out. How do we deal with it? How do we grow from it? How do we overcome it? Yeah, you've got Eternal Soul. This is definitely talking about kind of what I was touching in on. You got the Thunderbird and the Ankh with Storm, Eternal Soul, and Longevity. Yeah, it's going to be a time where we remap our brain basically with light codes, with our own decisions. It's going to be a decision based, not just like, you know how there's like talk of light codes and it's like I'll sit here and just bask in it. It's not really about just basking in it and then being like, oh, okay, cool, so I got whatever I needed out of it and walk away. It's really about a process as well. It's like utilizing that energy in whatever way is going to serve you, and if it even does serve you, certain people you follow online might start to not resonate anymore, and that's okay, like including this channel, right? So I'm not here to keep people stuck in some kind of energy where they have to be here because this is the only place, right? You shift and grow. That's why, you know, parents that want to keep their kids in the house even when they're in their like 20s and 30s, right? That's not healthy for growth. You got to let go. So this eternal soul is just reminding you that you've played so many parts in this world. You've played so many different characters, so many different you know, genders or whatever, rich, poor, whatever. You've probably had so many different lives out there, especially if you've found this channel. I feel like through whatever means, and you're watching this, you know, you probably aren't new or fresh-faced in this world, or especially this planet. So when I talk about, like, when I feel into old souls, it's usually like to this planet. You might be an old soul in like another kind of like reality or world or whatever, but in this planet you might be kind of like almost like fresh-faced, but you'll still have that old soul energy. Usually I would think of like old souls as being to this planet. And even if you've come from like Starseed kind of energy, I don't feel like this is probably your first rodeo here either. Probably had some kind of like similarity. I don't know why that's coming through, but I guess this one's just gonna be spreading all the tea, right? Spilling it all. All right, let's have a look. What else? We've got the King of Swords. Sovereignty for sure. The King of Swords is trusting his intellect, trusting his intuition, trust. Like, it's a very strong trust. The Star card, you know, hopes and dreams. I like this too because it's such a, like, the imagery on this is very specific, right? It's so meaningful with this deck. I know some people love this deck and some people don't, but like, regardless, you can't really argue that, like, the dream of and the thread that guides you towards certain goals or beliefs or hope, right, is there. And it's not really outside of her. She's seeing it visually outside of her, but it's connected to her heart. It comes from her. What she wants to see in the world comes from her. Okay, I'm going to take these two. You've got the King of Cups, so you've got a couple of kings. Getting into some masculine energy here too, which is, you know, good, because this is really about balance. We're not just talking about the feminine, even though there was two Ascended Masters. That's, like, I feel like, personally, this might be just my point, but I feel like we're going through a big shift within the feminine, within ourselves, within the planet, within reality, right? And so it feels super positive, and it feels like the right path from where we have been. However, I would just say to evolve in one is not to squash the other. It's to really rise as cohesive. And while there's like logic and integrity here, there's also spirituality and resonance, right? He's dinging on the sound bowl, which is kind of interesting because I'm listening to handpan music, but it's attracting, or it's attracting what you resonate. So if you're playing a tune that attracts shitty things, stop playing the tune and stop letting yourself be around that shitty thing or those shitty people or the shitty news, right? Whatever the shit is. Play a tune that vibrates at a frequency that you want to attract into your life. And the King of Cups is always emotional maturity. There's like not really emotional maturity here, but there's like logic and integrity here. And I love the mix of logic, integrity, and emotional maturity. It's like a very well-rounded person, right? And lastly, we have the Page of Wands. I like this. It can be picking up on old hopes and dreams as well, or going out there and just being you. Like the Divine Rebel. You might be a divine rebel because of your sexuality or your gender identity or something like that. You don't have to actually do anything, you just have to be yourself. I'm not saying go out into an area that's dangerous, but never shy away from your truth or who you are, basically. Even if you fit into a lot of society's norms, right? You fit into this kind of like gender, this kind of thing, and whatever, like you fit in that's okay as well, right? You're here to still be you, even if no matter how obvious or big or small it is. It's harder when you can hide certain parts of you within yourself, but you're really here to let that out. Like, this is the whole point of this reading. It's like what you're feeling and what you're intuitively getting is very true. When you resonate with a particular starseed or with a particular group of people or with, like, I don't know, whatever, human design or something like that, right? Or even astrology, like, that's there to support and help you, not to be the identity you claim. You already are the identity you're claiming, right? So does that fit with your truth? Yes or no? And how can you start to really shine that truth out there, I guess, is the best way I can put it. This reading, or this whole thing has gone on for quite a long time, so sorry it's a really long reading. I'm going to leave it there though. There's so much to be said, but I feel like there's pockets of stuff where you've probably zoned out, and that's probably good because that probably wasn't your message, and some of the stuff you've really listened to and been like, okay, I see where this relates in my life. All right, I'm going to leave that there. Again, thank you so much for being here. I just want to say, look after yourself and take care of, the people around you, and get out of judgment and get into trust, peace, love, and go forward with whatever resonates to you. Okay, look after yourself, take care, and I'll see you in the next. Goodbye.